Hey, what's up, VC? It's Harmless Rebel, back again with another metal and hard rock update. So let's just kind of jump into things. I have quite a bit to show today. Between Christmas and my birthday, I got quite a few albums, and then I also got quite a few gift cards, and I spent most of that money on vinyl as well, feeding the addiction. So let's just kind of jump in. First up, this is one I bought right before Christmas with one of the gift cards. This is Iron Fist from Motorhead. This is the 3 LP set that came out on Back on Black. I've had bad luck with Back on Black. The last 3 or 4 albums I've bought have just been pretty crappy quality. This, however, does sound pretty good. The first LP, of course, is Iron Fist, which was the band's follow-up to Ace of Spades. Really good follow-up as well. I believe this was also Danny Way's last album with the band before he left for Fastway. The first disc is Iron Fist. The follow-up, the following 2 discs are outtakes and a couple of live tracks. Really good package. The LPs are black, red, and blue. I'm not going to pull them out, but definitely worth grabbing for your collection. This next one I was super stoked that it's finally on vinyl, #1, and then to be able to pick it up. This is Mortification, self-titled album. I love this album. The first 3 are now available on vinyl. The second and third, I believe, were Nuclear Blast, released by Nuclear Blast, but they're hard to find. They can get a bit pricey. I am on the lookout for those. But and then a little birdie told me that their 4th album will be released on vinyl this year. So keep an eye out for that. Next up, these next 3 my wife got for me for Christmas. She asked what I wanted, and I gave her a list of about 10 albums, but of those I said these 3 had to be in there. These are the Mobile Fidelity Judas Priest albums. Of course, that's Screaming for Vengeance, Stained Class, and you can see the actual vinyl for theirs. And I mean, it's Mobile Fidelity, so they sound amazing. It doesn't get any better, in my opinion. Between Mobile Fidelity and then the 70s and 80s Japanese pressings, that's just where it's at. And then, of course, Killing Machine. All 3 classics. 2 of those I already had in the collection. Actually, Screaming for Vengeance I have. That's the 3rd pressing of that one that I have. But I couldn't pass those up. And I really do hope that Mobile Fidelity keeps it going and does some more, not just more Judas Priest, but just some more metal in general. Grab the next stack here. Next up, we got a little bit of DLR, Eat 'Em and Smile. I found a really nice mint condition copy of this for, I think I paid like $3 for it. Cinderella Night Songs, another just great condition album that I found for cheap. This is Cinderella's first album. Keel, The Right to Rock. I love this album, the band photo. Next up, we got Toronto, Girls Night Out. This kind of reminds me of Aerosmith. They have a very Aerosmith sound on a couple of the albums. I don't remember who showed this. Somebody showed this just recently. This is a white label promo. I want to say maybe Greeno showed it when he was flipping through his shelves. Next up, we have Moxie. I got this from a $1.89 bin at one of my local stores. Really good album. I've seen Moxie 1 and 2 shown a number of times by members of the VC, but I have never seen Riding High shown. It's a really good album, really worth checking out. Really good Canadian hard rock band. Next up, a little bit of Yngwie Malmsteen with Alcatraz. This is a great album. If you guys haven't heard this, I actually like Yngwie with Alcatraz better than I like his solo stuff. I just think he does better in a group, you know. Really good stuff, though. Highly recommend that. And this one is a German pressing. And I picked that up for like $3. Really cheap. Next up, Angel. On earth as it is in heaven. This one is in, while the sleeve is in pretty rough shape, the vinyl itself was mint condition, and it actually had all the inserts as well, which really surprised me, especially for the condition that it's in, including the poster, complete with poster holes where somebody had that hanging on their wall at one time. I tell you what, I don't know what it is about the Angel albums. Every time I see them, they're thrash. I guess people just loved these albums back in the day, but this is a great one. This is a great one. Next up, adding to my collection, Nazareth, Malice in Wonderland. I love that album name, Malice in Wonderland. What a killer name. But just continuing on with my Nazareth collection there. Let's see what we got. Like I said, keep it rolling. Got a lot of stuff to show. I'm actually flying through it pretty quick, surprisingly. Black and Blue, Without Love. This is their second album. These two I took a chance on, and this just kind of goes to show the quality of vinyl in the 60s and 70s compared to now. I picked both of these albums up for under $5. Both in somewhat rough condition. The vinyl itself is pretty scratched, but I decided to give it a chance. It didn't feel like they were too deep. But UFO Nail Heavy Cutting, killer album. And then by far my favorite UFO album, Obsession. And both of these things play crystal clear. There's a tiny bit of noise between tracks, but these all scratch to hell compared to some of these brand new albums that I'm buying that look perfect. They have more noise than these scratched up albums from the 70s do. It just blows me away. I also picked up Whitesnake. This is a self-titled one, I believe, yeah. I already have this. This one's in mint condition, and I paid less than $5 for it. So if anybody's looking for a copy of Whitesnake, I have another copy that I'll send out to you. Just let me know. Maybe we can do a trade or something. Maybe some VCLT. I don't know. This next one, so Triumph, Progressions of Power. This is actually one of my least favorite of the Triumph albums. It's not a bad album. It's just not as good as the others. This one's a stamp promo. And then we go from there to what I didn't know until now is by far my favorite Triumph album. Man, this album is amazing. This is Rock and Roll Machine. I've talked about this before. So there's two versions of Rock and Roll Machine. You have this one, which is the original Canadian version. This is their second album. And then you have the American version of Rock and Roll Machine, which is a comp, which includes a couple of B-sides, a couple of songs from their first album, and a couple of songs from their second album. Apparently they picked the wrong songs because, man, this album is amazing. It's actually got a very southern rock feel to it, which southern hard rock feel, which kind of blew me away. And then the fact that they play Rocky Mountain Way on here just kind of adds to that. But the song "The City," Little Texas Shaker. I mean, this is just a killer hard rock album. If you don't have this, look for it. But make sure you get the Canadian pressing and make sure it has this cover. And then going back to the comp, also called Rock and Roll Machine, there's two different covers of that as well to even add to the, more to the confusion. So, but I highly recommend you pick that up. If you don't pick up another Triumph album, I would get this one. Let's see, a couple of these I just showed in my best of 2014, best metal albums of 2014, and I'll put a link below. Go check that out. That's on my my reviews. For those that don't know, I've set up a separate account for just doing album reviews. I've gotten a lot of requests for reviews, so I've decided to start doing that secondary to the VC. So But 2 of these my wife bought, and one is one that I've had on order for a while. But Accept Blind Rage, which I did a review of a few months ago. One of my favorite albums of the year, and it's actually probably my favorite Accept album. And this one I actually had to order the European pressing on black vinyl. I know Karsten got a copy of the splatter vinyl and had a lot of problems with it. And I've talked to a couple of other people that got the yellow US pressing on yellow, or I'm sorry, the US pressing on yellow vinyl, and they had a lot of problems with it. So I actually special ordered the black vinyl version from Germany. So it took a little longer to get here, but I'm super happy with it. So. Then also Exodus, Blood In, Blood Out is another one that my wife bought for me. Sorry, my Blake sleeves are sliding all over the place. Next up, I've talked about this a number of times, Riot, Unleash the Beast. This also comes with the CD as well. Highly recommend picking that one up. I actually ordered this one about a month ago and it just came in. It was on back order. And then let's get down to the last few. Man, I flew through this. I've talked about this one. A lot of you saw my review of this, but I never showed the actual vinyl Rocker Bust. I'm not going to go into that. It's been talked about over and over again. Killer album. You should definitely get it, though. Next up, Rigor Mortis. Slaves to the Grave. This is the final album from the band. The guitar player, and I can't for the life of me think of his name right now. Give me a second. This is the lyric sheets, but Scasia. I think it's Mark Scasia. But he was a guitarist for the band. He passed away last year, I believe, maybe the year before. And they took all the guitar tracks that they had recorded from him and made this album around. It's a really good album, really good thrash album. I did the, I believe it was Indiegogo. They did a campaign to help fund the album, and I was one of the funders. And I ordered the custom vinyl that you could only get through Indiegogo, and it came with a custom cover. The album cover that you'll buy in stores is actually blue, and a full color picture instead of this red background. And then I requested that the band sign the front cover, which they did. I am disappointed that the seam was split at the top, but it's a signed copy. It's real limited. They only did 130 of them, so you just kind of deal with it, And it also came with this signed poster. This is the actual what the album cover would have looked like, but it's signed by the 3 remaining members of the band, and that came on a red splatter vinyl with custom labels. And for what I understand, this was only available to the Indiegogo, the people that funded the album. Unfortunately, the red splatter doesn't sound that good. I have downloaded it came with a download card. I downloaded the music, and it's an amazing album. It's a really good album. I do recommend it. If you buy it from Amazon, it'll come on black vinyl, so you won't have to worry about the sound issues that I have from this. But still, I do recommend picking up the album. It's a good album, and like I said, it's going to be the last album from Rigor Mortis. Next up, this is one I was really excited from Record Store Day to get, and unfortunately none of my record stores have it. And then AJ Wrangle, who I believe is OG, I can't remember what, OG 71? Is that what it is? I don't know, you can yell at me later, AJ. But AJ posted a thing on Facebook, a post on Facebook saying that the company that released this for Record Store Day only released 1,500 for Record Store Day. The other 500 could be bought directly from them, and they sold out really quick. So I went on and bought one right away. But this is Korn's self-titled album. You know, and I already hear some of you rolling your eyes, you know. I don't care. I love this album. I actually was at the, I saw the, right after this album came out, before it really blew up, they opened for Megadeth. It was one of the best shows I've been to. It was Korn, followed by Fear Factory, followed by Flotsam and Jetsam, and then the main show was Megadeth. And man, Korn were so good. And this album was just so heavy and so raw. When you compare this to the rest of their catalog, I mean, there is no comparison, you know. This is before they really introduced the hip-hop sound that showed up in their second album. And this just kind of added a whole new dimension to metal at that time, especially with Fieldy's bass playing. Now again, you know, they went off into left field later on. And once Jonathan Davis worked out his emotional problems with the abuse that he grew up with, his lyrics started to suck, and the emotion kind of disappeared from the music. But now this was on the Coke bottle clear vinyl, and as you can see, the backside is etched. The side 3. Sounds really good. Again, I was super happy to get this. I wanted this on vinyl for quite a while. It wasn't originally released on vinyl, so. And that's got to be, as a father, one of the scariest album covers ever. So the last 2 albums I'm going to show, I bought after doing a review for this band. The band is Tourniquet. They just had a new album come out. Technically, it's not a new Tourniquet album. It's basically a side project from the drummer and primary force behind the band, Kirkpatrick. But it wasn't the best review. I'm not a fan of it. But what it did was make me long for the first couple Tourniquet albums, which I was a huge fan of back in the 90s. And I remember seeing somewhere that they had just released last year or the year before on vinyl. Or did a re-release, because they're pretty expensive for original pressings. So I did a search and I found a site that actually had them on clearance. I picked them up for less than $15 a piece. But this is Stop the Bleeding, Tourniquet's first album. I love this album. And this one is on clear red vinyl. And then also their second album, Psychosurgery. And this one is on blue vinyl. If you don't have this, get on to, I ordered them from Metal Helm. That's the only place I've seen that has them. And if they still have them on clearance, pick them up. You know, they're not going to last that long. And a really good website too. The owner of the website emailed me saying, hey, I just shipped out your stuff. Send me an email once it gets there, just so I know it got there safely. Really cool that he did that, you know. I forgot to mention, what we're listening to is Ultimatum. This is Symphonic Extremities. I believe this is their first album. I could be wrong. Scott can correct me. This one was released in '97. Actually, when I ordered the Tourniquet, they had a deal going with Ultimatum. They had that and the Mechanics of Perilous Time as a package deal, so I picked those up because those were the 2 Ultimatum albums I was missing. And then I was shopping around yesterday and ran across a couple of classics, in my opinion. 2 of them I'm not going to show because they're going to be VCLT for somebody, so you'll be getting those pretty soon. Actually, here's a hint of who the VCLT will be for, but I ran across a couple albums yesterday as well. First is Judas Priest 98 Live Meltdown, killer live album. There's a 3 LP of this, a 3 LP release of this, but it's pretty expensive. I'd love to get it, but killer live show with Ripper Owens. I'm not a fan of his as much as Rob Halford, but still, he was killer. Was a really good lead man. back from the grave. Grave. This is just old school death metal. I was a real big fan of Grave in the 93, 94 time frame. I was introduced to him through this show called Into the Pit every Sunday night. There was an extreme metal show on KUPD, which was the metal station in Phoenix, and they always played Grave. Grave was the DJ that ran the host of the show was a friend of the guys from Grave, so he played quite a bit. The main reason I bought this was not for the album itself, though it is a really good album. It was for the second disc that comes with it. This was a re-release from 2012, I think. And it comes with all of the Grave demos, which I believe there were 3 demos, if I remember correctly, that are on there, which was very cool. And then this one is this is a band that didn't get that big, or maybe it was just they didn't get much publicity, but it was just a killer band from '96 called Drain STH. I don't know if you can see that. Now this is a later release. The album is Horror Wrestling. The original album was a blue background instead of this orange. This is an expanded edition with Ace of Spades and a couple other cover songs, which are really good. A couple acoustic songs. This is an all-female band. I want to say they were from Sweden, but don't quote me on that. They may have been Norwegian. But they sounded very much like Alice in Chains. And actually, the first time I heard one of the songs from this, I thought it was a new Alice in Chains song. So I ran across this for $2. I couldn't pass that up. So that is basically my metal update. Leave a comment. Let me know what you think. Any recommendations you got? Whatever. Other than that, if I don't do another video before then, Happy New Year, and I'll see you soon.